Hey guys, it's Britt. Today we will be doing Brittany's book review number 8 on Split Second Persuasion by Kevin Dutton. The publisher of this book was Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. This book is 296 pages. It took me 18 days to read. Overall impression, I really loved this book. It had a lot of great information I wasn't expecting to get. Rating 3.8 stars. Statement about the author. Kevin Dutton has a PhD in psychology. He specializes in psychopathy. Great detail of the author's thesis and summary of the main points. The future is always changing. So much can change so fast. In that split second, you can change everything. And so knowing how our minds work and are wired, you can really use that to your advantage. Just in that split second's time, you can persuade anything. Some tips in this book: you want to learn simplicity. Keep your message short, sharp, and simple, and people are more likely to think it's true. Perceived self-interest, incongruity, confidence, empathy. Use eye contact. Tell people you're from the same town as them, and they're more likely to believe you. Like-mindedness. We trust people like ourselves. Someone tries to persuade you how many times a day? 20, 30, 50, 100, 400 times a day. Holy shit. Persuasion is so vital. It keeps us alive and our society going strong. Grant Cardone says the same thing. This boy was gonna punch someone on the playground. He said something to the teacher and he was going to find him, gonna punch him, and when he got there, the kid was sitting on his hands just staring up at him. Basically like, here I am, if you're gonna hit me, go ahead. The guy couldn't hit him. The way he was carrying himself. He showed confidence and empathy. This book can help you talk your way out of trouble. Incongruity is surprise. Like if you say, this cupcake is 400 pennies, instead of, this cupcake is $4, people are more likely to buy from you. The more you can say it without actually having to say it, the more of an advantage you're gonna have. Research shows that top salesmen are more likely to lean forward when talking with a client. This gives them an edge. It's a double whammy. It signifies empathy and subtle subservience. So for parents, get down on your children's level. Be on the same level with them, and you're more likely to have them listen to you. Animals like to be on the same level as you as well. Cats oftentimes will jump to be at the same level. We have an appeal for neonates. They are the best persuaders ever. Monkeys and infants will stare at a picture of an infant for much longer than any other age group. They are mesmerizing. A man was robbing a lady with a knife. She turned around and had an infant. He saw the infant and ran away. He couldn't do it because of the infant. I wish we could see more stories like that. Infants are able to cry and get the attention of the parents to get them what they need for survival. They have a hypnotic, mesmerizing way. If they are lucky to keep their looks throughout adult life, this has a similar effect. I'm sure you may have noticed. That's the thing. Persuasion. Good looks can definitely help you in life. People with good looks will sell more in sales. Good-looking people are also less likely to be found guilty than average-looking people. Wow. Strippers make more money when they're ovulating. He talks about faces and how different faces can signify different things. So if someone has a baby face and it's curvy and they have big eyes, that can be viewed as submissive. Where if someone has a dominant face with strong, hard lines, that will be viewed as dominant. A mature face. Eye contact is key in saving lives. This book reminded me a lot of Freakonomics, another great book. There's a lot of studies and a lot of random things that really gets your mind thinking. Very open-minded. Different colors also mean different things. Pink is a very calming color. Of course, it's seen in sunsets, so people associate that with it. In sports, teams used to paint the opponent's locker room pink. That way they would be more calm and docile of an opponent. Now they have to be the same color. That reminds me of all the fluoride that's added to the water. People become docile and they don't care of the corruption that's being done to them. Our minds are designed to be easily conned in life. Habits, autopilot. For example, we can rearrange all the letters in a word, sentence, entire paragraph, so long as the first letter of the word is correct and it has all the other correct letters in the word. People will still be able to read it. It's called mental set, and it refers to our minds being on autopilot for far more than we care to realize. It's easy for con men to steal from people by looking the part. For example, there was a wedding going on and this con man dressed up very nice. he had another guy distract the receptionist complaining about something so her mind wasn't all there. And then he comes in, oh, I'm just picking up the presents and we're gonna bring them to the party afterwards. So she waves him on through. He looked legit, why not? What else would he be doing? People just assumed the best, give him the benefit of the doubt, and oh, there goes all the wedding presents. The best con men are usually the most charming. This is by design. Distraction, be skeptical and be on your toes of them. Especially white males. Cognitive load is on our brain potential, how much is going on at once. This can also help get the truth out of people. Police use these tactics very often. They will have people sleep deprived, they will tell them lies, manipulation, scare tactics, so much is going on at their mind that they might just tell the truth. Often they'll be in an interrogation room and somebody will come in, oh, this just in, new evidence. They'll put the evidence down, upside down, it'll be a white paper. Typically it's just blank on the other side. Really what that does is just kind of distract the person so they get very stressed. They're thinking all these crazy things, worst case scenario, and they might just tell the truth. Touch is very vital. This goes back to the days of where people of low socioeconomic status would suck up to people of higher socioeconomic status, but nowadays it goes both ways. Treats are great in getting bigger tips. You'll get a much bigger tip if you give someone just a piece of candy. You'll get an even bigger tip if you give them 2 pieces of candy, especially if you give them one first off, and then you give them another one later, almost as if it was an afterthought. So then they feel like they were special and it's kind of not standard. We desire to fit in so bad. It's so natural for us. We love groups, especially groups we're in. Majority opinion is one of the most powerful forces in the whole universe. So you want to use others and give the appearance that everyone feels this way and that this is a whole group thing. You can say things like most people and everyone, even if it just appears to be that way. It's great for bidding to start the bid low. This will attract more people, then they'll be more emotionally and financially invested. Then they'll compete with each other rather than if you just started the bid high, less people are going to get involved, less people will be invested. What makes a good lawyer? What's the difference between the guy who's a star in the courtroom and the guy who's just average? What do the stars have that the rest of us have not? The art of a good story. In court, this is so vital. Get them hooked on your narrative. The order in which you present your information is key. Subtly imply that. Get them to feel with their hearts and then have your evidence support their gut feeling. It's how you present it. Coherent narrative fundamentals is key in persuasion. If someone is culpable, they are more likely to blame. It seems like something they would do. Maybe they're shady. Maybe they're that type of person. So in court, you want to make someone seem culpable, like they would do something like that. Talk about their character. That way others will feel that way as well. You can do this with yourself as well to get people to sway their judgments about you. Take over their hearts, especially in rape cases. Make them presume he's guilty. Focus on what he did, like drugs, alcohol, his mental state. Focus on his previous relations with women. For rape cases, be sure to use descriptive words such as violent over erotic. Order matters. Did she ask for it? Was she dressed promiscuous? Was she flirting? How about her past sexual history? They favor the nun over the topless dancer in rape cases, and the married over the divorced. These things matter. This is not good. If you have 2 candidates, one candidate you support, and the other candidate you don't necessarily support, but you oppose their opponent. This is not good. The one whose opponent you do not like, you're gonna have a stronger bond to that person than the one you support. Yikes. That's how we're all brainwashed. That's a scary thought. That's why there's always different sides and schools of thought. The tactics are to divide rather than to unite because it's powerful. It sadly works. Anchoring is also very persuasive. Anchoring a high or a low number. Even just saying a number that's way higher or way lower is persuasive. I'll get into a lot more of this in Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss. Stay tuned. Suggestion is expecting. Law of attraction. Creating by test. Numbers. Why do you think it's better to price something as a more precise number than a round number? If you're selling a house, why is it better to price it as $596,500 rather than just $600,000? Same with $15.95 or $16? Is it because one seems cheaper? No, though that's what most people think. Really, it's because the one seems more precise, which makes it seem more accurate and closer to wholesale rather than the rounded number. People think they are getting a better deal and that it's more of a true representation of the worth. 7-Up cans. When they're more yellow, people think they're more lemony. When they're green, people complain there's too much lime. We're reacting to our memories, our sight, smell, everything. A beautiful bottle of vodka contributes to the taste. When doing cold calls, make them laugh. You can ask them, "Are you superstitious?" And they'll probably say, "No." And you could say, "Well then, can I have 1313? They'll laugh, and then you're in. When they ask who it is, don't try to sell them on anything. Look, I know you want to watch Dancing with the Stars. Call 45 minutes before the hot show. Like-mindedness. We're both similar. We both want to do the same things. I get it. And I know you probably don't want any building work done, but do you know anyone who might?" Then you can ask, "Is it okay if I call you back?" They'll probably say yes. And then you're golden. Then they're doing the work for you, getting referrals. Don't push, bully, preach, lecture, or plead. Reciprocity. Ask for something large, and if they say no, ask for something smaller. They'll be more likely to do it, to meet you halfway. Cognitive consistency. Changing the instructions to a request for hotel rooms can make a significant difference on the amount of no-call, no-shows. Just by a few words of rephrasing. It got the cancellations to drop from 30% to just 10%. Instead of the instruction being, "Please call if you have a change of plans and you can't make it," change your request to a question. Ask, "Will you call if you have to change your plans?" And wait for a response. If they say yes, that is a huge game changer. People will let you down so much easier in the instructions, but when they say yes, they are now committed. They'd also be letting themselves down because they said they would. You can lowball to get your foot in the door, ask for a simple request, and then gradually increase it and ask for more. Lure the customer in. Car salesmen often offer things they do not intend to keep. What they're looking for is for you to decide to make the purchase, and once you do, they're in. Then they can change, "Oh, you know, this happened, that happened, sorry, there was a mistake with the first offer in the original quote. My hands are tied. That was the price without tax." I don't support this. I think that's lying and false advertisement. I am actually going to pursue legal and laws because I don't understand how that's legal. It would be so great if the legal system worked for us and honesty and the people rather than just money and corruption and greed. The more hoops a customer has to jump through, the more invested they are in the product. Make them show a ton of IDs. You can say something like, "Oh, well, due to the new laws and regulations and security, we need more." Sometimes it's the words we don't say that make all the difference. In a campaign, somebody wanted to really let the others know that the opponent was very old, but how can you just say this? You have to do it casually and smart. So he used the term "speary." This is a compliment for older people. It means lively for an older person. So when you use that, it lets people know that they are old. It's like a backhanded compliment and insult. It's very creative. The most successful politician is the one who says what everybody is thinking the loudest and most often. The best way to ride a horse is the direction in which it was going. Wording is so key to perception. Even just changing one word can change so much. Please see exactly what to say for more info on that. The 3 A's of social influence are attention, approach, and affiliation. It shows how the media and politicians are so corrupt by exaggerating half-truths, lies, manipulations, withholding information, and so on. It's very easy to manipulate people if you know what you are doing. That unfortunately is why we are in such a deep state of corruption here in America. I hope we can dig ourselves out. Safety in numbers was vital back in the old days, and that is glacially preserved in our minds. Manipulating by influence, the kind of information our brain takes in, and what to do with that information. This is easy cake for politicians, admin, and salesmen. They do it by pulling at the heartstrings. Reverend Jim Jones instructed over 900 people to drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid in the forest and die. Wow, talk about persuasion. People can persuade people to kill, anything from major to minor. Group polarization is the group mind swaying. I know someone who's very good at this. They do it by making it seem like everyone feels this way. Even though that's not true, they'll say things like, oh, this person said this and this person said this, when really it's that person who is saying it, and she's just using other people's mouths to manipulate and make it seem like everybody feels this way, so then everybody just kind of goes with it and they just kind of agree. It's very, very weird. People become more extreme when they form a group. There's tons of studies on this, especially if they feel a certain way. As a group, this will elevate when they get together. People are naturally built for conformity. This book literally says this is the raw material to brainwash people. Yikes! Is that why we have so much corruption in America? It talks about beliefs and the placebo effect, how your mind really changes your reality. Again, law of attraction. This book is great so that you can know if someone's trying to manipulate you. Confirmation bias, confirming your beliefs in a bias. Cults and the army train very similar and have a lot in common. Armies train by marching in step. Churches sing and chant rituals in their service. Why? Groups whose members engage in synchronous activities tend to be more cohesive, and they tend to cooperate better than groups whose members do not. Belief is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We behave to act in a way that we believe to be true for ourselves, even if it's false. This is also true when we believe others are a certain way. So if we think somebody's dumb, stupid, negative, whatever, then we are gonna grab and pull more of that out from that person. We all have it to some degree, but you're really gonna make that side of them shine by what you believe. For you anyways. They can be the nicest positive person ever, but if you believe them to be super negative, then they're gonna be negative towards you. We deify those like us and vilify those unlike us. There's tons of studies on this, and religion is a great example. There's Stockholm Syndrome. This is where hostages come to liking and supporting their captors. Wow. Actually very common. They do this by mind control, reciprocity. Conciliatory behavior of the captor can leave the captive confused. Their feelings for the captor may be negative, but then the captor will be nice and do positive things, and then they're confused, and so they grow to like them. The secret of mind control is control over everything. Learned helplessness. There's a test with this in dogs where they have a shock collar and they're getting shocked so much so to where they eventually just stop caring about anything, basically about life. It's just learned helplessness. There's two dimensions, internal and external. Taking responsibility or blaming, victimizing. You can take the blame on yourself or you can blame it on others. If you're negative, depressed, or a pessimist, you're more likely to have a general internal attribution style. Like, I'm never good at exams. Internal and general. In general, optimists take credit for good outcomes and contextualize bad ones, while pessimists do the opposite. They externalize the good things and blame the bad things on themselves. Domestic violence happens in the workplace as well. Manipulation and brainwashing runs very deep, and often the victim doesn't want to leave. You'll see this a lot in America here, where people are supporting the loss of our freedoms because of fear-mongering and brainwashing. They will fight with people who are fighting for their freedoms. It is absolute insanity. People support and defend those that hurt, harm, kill them and their families, and steal from them. The world's gone mad. Guns, anti-abortion, loss of bodily autonomy, vaccines, healthcare, and much more. It hijacks our free will, like they've been infected by some sort of virus. Special forces use mind control and brainwashing. They had some tests in this book of what kind of attribution style you were. I was an internal. I, of course, knew I'd be an internal. What that means is I take responsibility for my life and what happens in it. I don't play the blame game and blame it, and I'm a victim. No. There's 5 major axes of persuasion. Spice: simplicity, perceived self-interest, incongruity, confidence, and empathy. The raw material of what they pay attention to of persuasion in a system, the manner in which you deliver it, and how they appraise you or appraise what you say in context of relation with others. Affiliation. Keep it simple, our brain has a bias for simplicity. Research has indicated this time and time again. Politics, when they're running for elections, their policies get a lot less fancy. Perceived self-interest, like a smoker saying all the positives of smoking, how it helps them with their anxiety and stress and this and that, while downplaying all the risks and negative attributes with them. There's a magic trick in this book. It got me. It was with psychology and distraction, the mind focus, and the mind energy. Facts can be overrated. Go with the heart. Like how politicians use the heartstrings and fear-mongery to get people to support their dark agendas. It's how they create manufactured consent through half-truths, distractions, diversions, lies, manipulations, etc. They use the media because the media is owned by them. Big covers small. Distraction techniques. And giving people a choice. An example of this is two bums on the street. One bum is in raggedy, poor clothes with a sign that says, "Broke and starving, please help." And then there's another guy across the street. He's wearing a pinstripe suit and he says, "Filthy rich and want more." This gives people a choice. Now it's rich versus poor. Who do they like better? And they quadruple the amount that they make. Typically, people will just walk by and not pay attention to a bum or a beggar, but in this case, they do. Incongruity. Persuasion is 99% confidence and 1% coincidence. Being against a backdrop of books gives the oomph and appearance of intelligence. Our bonds are our words. Confidence. Studies say that our confidence goes way up when we're listening to people in a lab coat or a white coat over a lab technician in sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt. Unfortunately, this can be very dangerous when people are taught to trust a certain person. A lot of times, this is how corruption occurs, just like the con man. They found in the courtrooms, MRI scans can actually be too much. It's saying too much with their expectation to dazzle. It actually does the opposite. Confidence is so key to success in persuasion, it's literally everything. The individual group members seemed to mirror the most confident group members' feelings, even if they were wrong. Confidence is competence, or at least it appears that way. And people take it as so. It's very easy to tell if someone is confident or not. A confident person will move towards the audience rather than act defensive and stay stationary. People love the confident one. Confidence is key for influence, like physical attractiveness. There was a guy who was very angry at a train and he lit up a cigarette. Then another guy went up to him and says, "Hey, you got a light?" Somebody saw this and he says, "What is going on? Do you guys not realize there's no smoking here?" The second man, who just asked the other guy for a light, says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize." "Well, I guess we better put it out then." Then both of them put it out. It was a warm way of doing it with empathy because it was coming at it like a friend, like he is also guilty. He increased similarity and made it more personal rather than a fight. Clever way of doing it. When things resemble us, like faces, we trust it 2/3 more. This is why often you'll see very happy relationships or couples, people who have been together forever and will be, they look a lot alike. Have the similar DNA, common patterns, they look alike, and this also affects their personality. They will be alike. It's really crazy. You might see very similar bone structure, facial structure, teeth. Obama would say things like us and we. People love that. It resembles unity and that we are all in this together. There are mind-reading geniuses, like myself. There's a tradition for dojos in Japan. It's a test far above black belts. It's a test of greatness. One sits with a dark bag over their heads and waits for somebody else to hit them with a samurai sword at their neck. This can paralyze, severely injure, or kill them unless they deflect the blow. How, you might ask? Your mind, of course. One must empty their mind totally. One must focus purely on the now. When I enter a state like that, one is able to smell time, to feel its waves washing over one's senses. The tiniest ripple may be detected over great distances, and the signal intercepted. Often, it appears the two combatants move simultaneously, but that is not so. It is not difficult. With practice, it can be mastered. I love that. That's the truth. Law of attraction, law of vibration, auras, reality, magic, bend reality, sixth sense, psychic. Humor is great. Altruistic behavior. Feel good and the beggar gets lucky. feel lousy, and people scurry past. In a parallel universe, it all could have been totally different. Psychopaths might also be the ones to lead a combat in war. They might rape your girl one day and be the one most likely to save her from a burning building on the next. The psychopath is dazzling, disarming, and devastating. Mostly men are psychopaths. Women basically are not. This study says 1 to 3% of men are, while 0.5 to 1% are. I've actually heard a much different study showing a lot more men being psychopaths than this, and women being a lot less. Shout out to Ty Lopez. That's the dark triad test. That's a lot more updated study, and I actually think that that's true. He surveyed over 100,000 people. Charm, persuasion, fearlessness, lack of empathy, and absence of consciousness. These are qualities of the psychopath. They can easily influence others and are very intriguing. Hot or cold empathy. Hot is when you feel it. Cold is when you don't feel it, but you can understand it. You can calculate it. Psychopaths have cold empathy. It's disengaged and the brain uses different parts. Our brains like to err on the side of caution. This is fear mentality and unfortunately why it works so well. There's a fixed versus growth mindset. Fixed mindsets are influenced and persuaded a lot less. People bought more cupcakes from a confectioner when he refers to them as half cakes and then says they're delicious right after. It kind of throws them off, confuses them, distracts them, and then says they're delicious, and people buy them. Incongruity. Attractive people make more money than average-looking people on charity stands. I would also say that I think this goes into a lot of other job occupations as well. Evaluations of the strengths and weaknesses. This book had a lot of strengths. I loved that it's hardcover. It was a nice big meaty book, but it wasn't too excessive like a Bible or some of the books I've read. It was perfect for the time being. It went into a lot of law and legal in the courtroom. I love those topics and I've been meaning to get into those a lot more, so that was a nice plus. Weaknesses, it went really deep into some topics I didn't really intend to read about. I actually thought it was kind of cool. I just wanted to put something for the weaknesses. It did also tell you to lie and false advertise. I do not support that. That's really unethical. We need to change that of the world, okay? Seriously. Contribution or bias, I definitely agree with what he said. The facts and the data are correct in this book. This brought me back to my psychology class days, which I loved. That was a class I actually got to choose, and it was awesome. Evidence of this, I obviously know that physical attractiveness will get you very far in life. Of course, there's more to life than that, but it will open many doors, and it will give you that edge. I've had a very easy breezy life, and of course that's not the only reason why, but it is something to keep in mind. Understand people, relate with them, work with them, and they're more likely to do that with you. Psychology is so vital to life. Final assessment, this book was amazing. Again, psychology is just awesome. We are all humans, we are all dealing with humans. In order to succeed in life, you're going to want to succeed with people. Understanding psychology will help you do that. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Smash that like button if you guys like this, and share it with anyone you think can benefit from this information as well. And beat the heck out of that subscribe button. Any recommendations? Check this book out, watch my book reviews. If you like this topic, sales, marketing, persuasion, a successful life, be sure to look out for some of my other YouTubes on exactly what to say, sell or be sold, the mind of the buyer, never split the difference. There's so much more great information I would love to share with you guys. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think. Love you guys. Get fragged.